The Kancamagus Highway in New Hampshire is one of the most popular fall foliage drives in New England. It crosses the White Mountain National Forest on a 34.5-mile stretch from Lincoln to Conway, New Hampshire. Along the way are multiple scenic vistas, waterfalls, hiking, and a covered bridge. It's a popular route and gets very busy during peak foliage, so here are a few tips for planning a road trip. 1. Getting there. The Kancamagus is a 2 to 3 hour drive from the Boston area. It's a straightforward route, up 93 to exit 32, for Route 112 in Lincoln, New Hampshire. You could also choose to drive the highway east to west instead, and start in Conway. For this, you'd want to pick up 16 coming out of Portsmouth. This route is mostly backroads, but the advantage is, you'll skip the traffic crunch coming out of Lincoln. Altogether, plan for around 6 hours driving time up and back, for an 8 to 10 hour day, depending on how long you spend at each stop. We like to start in Lincoln, drive out as far as the Albany Bridge. Then double back on the highway, so we can visit any stops we may have skipped along the way, because they were busy, or there was no parking. 2. Know before you go. A good place to start is the White Mountain Visitor Center, which is right off exit 32. There are restrooms here, and you can get the latest weather reports and expected foliage. If you're planning on any hiking, the rangers will be able to tell you how difficult your route may be, and about how long it will take. For example, Sabaday Falls is an easy half-mile walk, accessible for most people. Further down the highway, the Champney Falls Trailhead is a route to Mount Chocorua, and could turn into a difficult 7.5-mile loop. 3. Bring a map. The Kancamagus is straight for 34.5 miles, with no real side streets. All the major attractions have large signs and parking areas. It's hard to get lost, but after leaving Lincoln, you'll have almost no cell phone coverage until you reach the other end of the highway in Conway. We've shown this map several times, and it's free at the visitor center. It'll show you where all the stops are, and a general idea of where trailheads lead to. Hiking any mountain will take the whole day. It's not something we're covering here, but pick up a more detailed map if that's your plan. 4. Don't try to see everything. This is a very busy road in the fall, and with no exits and limited parking, it's common to get stuck in traffic. We said this earlier, but we like to drive out to the end and double back to catch anything we missed. The further away from Lincoln you get, the thinner the traffic. Don't try to see everything all at once. Turning around and coming back to 93 is often a quicker route back to Boston than heading out on 16 through Conway and Tamworth. It's hard to make every stop, but in the next section we'll highlight some of our favorite spots. Lincoln Woods. After leaving Lincoln, New Hampshire, the first stop on the Kancamagus is Lincoln Woods. There's a large parking lot, a ranger station, and several short and long hiking trails. You'll want to pick up a $5 day pass here, and there are self-serve stations for cash and credit for purchases. You should display the pass on your dashboard at all the major stops along the highway. You may have seen photos of this footbridge before, and you'll find it here at Lincoln Woods. The footbridge spans the Swift River, and is the gateway to the Pemigewasset Wilderness. There are short trails on both sides of the river, the simplest being a quick loop back to the highway and parking lot. This is the trailhead for much longer hikes, and the routes to climb several mountains. Check the whiteboard at the ranger station for weather, foliage, and other notices. The ranger should also be able to answer questions about things to see, the difficulty of hiking trails and how long they'll take, or other general questions you might have. The Hancock Overlook. The Hancock Overlook will be your first scenic vista when heading out on the Kank from Lincoln. This is also a spot where you're likely to hit the most traffic. The overlook is located on a hairpin turn, and has a small parking area on an uphill U-turn. Plus there's a second overlook only 4 minutes further down the road. It's a perfect combo to bottleneck traffic. While there's no real way to drive around it, this stop is a good one to come back to if you are returning to Lincoln. It's much less busy later in the day. Now that I've told you how difficult this stop can be, let's take a minute to look at how pretty the overlook actually is, and why you should make it a stop. The Hancock Overlook looks out at the valley beneath Mount Osceola. At peak foliage this can really be a stunning view. If you've climbed any 4,000 footers, you might be familiar with Osceola, and the amazing views from the cliff at the summit. To the left of Osceola is the East Peak, and you might be able to place where the chimney in between the two mountains is located. Here's a quick peek at the second overlook, just 4 minutes away. A similar but broader view from the last stop. There are several more overlooks to check out, but now let's fast forward to one of our favorite stops, and one of the must-sees on the Kank.